Welcome to an inside job. I want to thank LATV, Carl, Jack, Jane, and Robert. They really back us up with this thing, and this is proof. Let's see. I'm your host, Ron, alcoholic addict. At the beginning of, I believe it's still on there, I sometimes say it's a war, well, I do say it's a war on addiction, not a war on drugs, that it didn't work 40 years later, and I wouldn't even imagine how much money. It's not working. One of my favorite books, Dr. Gabor Mate, MD. He works in the downtown part of Vancouver, Canada, on the east side, rough part of town, and he works with the addicts. And it seems like, well, where he is, that it's just a lot of hardcore addicts. But anyway, he explains addiction. It's biological, chemical, neurological, physiological, medical, social, political, economical, and spiritual. It's pretty, I guess what I'm trying to say is this thing isn't going to be solved with someone just going into a facility for 3 days in a program and call it a spin dry and expect to come out sober and stay sober. He also says it starts from the cradle, and I believe that, the environment, and I believe it has a lot to do with addiction, the environment, growing up. That's how it was for me. For 70 years, I have had a relationship with drugs and alcohol. Grandfather, father, his brothers, myself, my son, his granddaughter, and I've lost 3 of those people to this addiction. Anyway, with that being said, Eddie, we're friends. We've been friends.
We have.
Way back when you got out of a place that you're going to tell us about, we'd have a meeting in the morning, about 5 o'clock, and it was Coffee with the Phantom, and that's another story, but that's what he was named. Eddie's doing great. Eddie's doing great. He just explained some things that he's doing right now. He's really getting involved. A lot of 12-step to do with narcotics. All right, let's begin, Eddie. You ready?
Sure.
How old are you?
55.
Okay, a youngster. How old were you when you began with the addiction, with drinking and drugging?
Experimenting, 15, 16 years old.
Okay, all right. How did that happen? How did it come about?
It was part of the environment that I lived in with school. You know, kids from school, you try the marijuana.
Yeah.
So I took some weed home, you know, and
Yeah.
you'd smoke some weed, go into a concert.
Yeah.
You get a bus, a whole bunch of us get on a bus, we'd go to, back then it was a Cape Cod Coliseum, we'd get on the bus and we'd drink. And no parents were there, so we'd drink and we'd smoke pot going down there.
So concerts like Liberace concerts?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
more like Styx,
Imagine.
Foreigner.
Okay. Okay, we know how it started. When did you know that you had a problem? What age?
About 28.
28?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were able to hold back on that. I mean, I was gone, but I was 21 and 28.
I put down the marijuana. I didn't. While I was in high school, I stopped smoking pot, and I didn't do any other drugs until I was 27.
How about the drink?
Oh, I continued to drink.
Yeah.
You know.
Alcoholically?
I don't know. I mean, I would have I'd get together with my friends, we'd drink, and we'd go home. I'd get up to work in the morning. My life wasn't unmanageable.
You're a hard worker.
Thank you.
And you're hitting this thing hard, and it's working. 7 years and 4 months.
Yep.
And I've watched that at least when Eddie did some prison time, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about that. So, what age? Okay, so 28, and what happened at 28?
I walked into an intervention because I had found a love for cocaine.
The intervention being your family?
My family, yes. And I went into my first detox. And I was successful at it. I stayed clean for a year without the benefit of any 12-step meetings.
Right.
You know. And my life got better, and it got better. And I started to think that I was the one doing all of this. And I didn't have anything to change. I could, and it ended up taking me back out.
What do you mean? You were the one who did all this?
It was all me.
Oh, yeah.
There was no power greater than me keeping me clean. It was all me back then.
Yeah.
I had no benefit of the 12-step program.
I
wasn't participating in them.
Right.
I had that inflated ego.
Yeah.
And it ended up taking me back out.
So with the, I'll go back a little, with the intervention, how did that go?
For me, it was horrible.
And you, your family has a business.
Yes, we do.
And you were in that business.
Yes, I was.
And you were doing very well.
Yes,
you were getting them. It was waste management, and you were getting them a lot of work. New customers.
My brother was the operations guy.
Yeah.
I was the sales guy. You know, my sister, of course, was the treasurer, and still is.
Yeah.
You know, and the more we grew, the more my ego grew. What problem do I have? How can you tell me my life isn't a flaming success? Look at what's going on in my life. Of course it's a success.
Yeah.
But really, my career was a success. I wasn't.
How much coke were you doing?
At the end?
No, at the. What's the progression? Let me.
Listen, it was 20 years in and out of recovery, and it got to a point that I didn't need to drink alcohol to have cocaine.
Yeah.
Some people have to drink first to lower their inhibitions to get to cocaine, to get to the drugs. I progressed past that, where I could just go right to it.
What was your love with it? Why were you in love with it?
In the beginning, it was because I could drink more.
Ah.
I could drink longer. Mm-hmm. It would like straighten me out so that I could continue to party.
Yeah.
But then I put the alcohol down, and a year later, I picked up just the coke. A little bit more, maybe have been 13 months later, but anyway, and then it's been an on-off cycle. I mean, if I was clean, and I'd go to the doctor for an injury, and they put me on a narcotic like Percocet, the only one I took as prescribed was the first one.
Yeah.
And it was on after that, and I would be right back to the cocaine, because that was my drug of choice.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was at first that you could drink longer and party longer, but what was the, how did it develop? And you said you were in and out For 20 years,
20 years in and out of recovery, yeah.
but mostly out.
Mostly out. The longest
Yeah.
period, until now, the longest period of recovery I had was 18 months.
Yeah.
You know, listen, I did not have any life skills. I escaped life. If things got too tough, I escaped. If I got too overwhelmed, I would run. How would I run? Through getting high.
Yeah.
That's how I processed. I just leave it all behind. I didn't grasp what I grasp today, that I can walk through any problem and there is a solution. Nothing is that enormous that it can't be dealt with.
When we were in the car, I asked you where you're going. I wasn't thinking either. Where you going for Thanksgiving? And he said, I can't go home. We do a lot of damage. We do a lot of damage. I came out all right. But I did do a lot of damage, and I have to deal with that. I have to face it. And man, it's tough.
Someday.
It's tough.
Someday.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yep, someday.
Who was the actor, Charlie Sheen, who once said, it takes 1 second, that addiction is like a gun. It takes 1 second to fire the bullet, and 10 years to fix the damage. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. So in and out of recovery, detoxes?
5.
5, okay. And you said, was AA in your life then? Or
Yeah, but you
12-step?
know, my lifelong friend, who happens to be my sponsor in that fellowship, would say that I played games. I wouldn't say that I played games. I would say that I didn't ask the right questions and I didn't apply myself. And to let people in didn't happen. The walls were up.
Yeah.
Very, very select people got in. I would handle it. And the results were never good. Handling it my way, it never worked.
Yeah.
You know? And as a result of that, handling it my way, I ended up getting myself in trouble.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we'll talk about that trouble. But it was, did you have reservations during those 20 years? Did you really want to quit when you went to
you know
detox?
something? I got to tell you something. There's nothing, but you know what? I don't know if I was waiting for the lightning bolt to come down and just healed. I don't know what I was waiting for, but I know I was looking for an easier, softer way. I wasn't looking to these 12-step programs to do all this step work, do this writing. I wasn't looking to do all of that.
Right.
I just wanted to be part of a club that didn't get high. And I thought I found one. But it's not a club.
What was that?
It's not a club. They're 12-step programs. They're,
Oh.
they're not a club. You don't just go hang out and stay clean for a day.
Right.
There's work that needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. 5 detoxes. By the way, do you know what it cost us as society just for an overdose? I talked with somebody from the city who knows what's happening, and he thought about 10 grand. One trip. You had 5. Did you ever? No, you
I
don't
had health
OD
insurance.
on coke, right?
No, I never did anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else ever
Yeah.
did. I always went on my health insurance.
When did you? Eddie paid his price. He went to prison, and he's out here helping. And I believe that's why he's still sober. I know it is for me. He's helping. He's helping people. He's going into prisons. I'll skip to with you, with what you're doing now as far as the housing, your job as manager.
I manage Jeffrey's house in Fitchburg.
How long you been doing it?
I'm in my 3rd year now. I manage the Garnett Street location.
And you had told me that as many people coming out of prison.
We get our share of parolees.
Yeah,
And we've had great experience with them.
right. Right.
with a very successful experience. A lot of men, more than the majority, all but one have successfully completed parole and probation and have
Right.
moved on. What happens after that, I don't always
Yeah.
know, but I do know that they successfully complete parole and probation.
How long can they stay at your house?
That's open-ended.
Nice.
That's open-ended.
Nice.
We certainly don't rush them. When they feel it's time,
Yeah.
then go. I mean, if they're not going to work a program of recovery and they think it's a place to hang their hat, they find out quick that that's not what we're about.
Yeah.
If you just need a place to hang your hat, well, then you're going to have to find someplace else to
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. Eddie's tough. I know he's tough. And it's working. It's working. He just said it. That's great numbers. 98%, something like that. And I'd like you to let me just check these. All right, let's go to this one. You did 4 years,
Yep. 3 years and 8 months.
3 years and 8 months.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Listen, I went to prison for one reason and one reason only, because I like to get high.
Yeah.
My charge was possession with intent class B, and that's what I went to prison for. Possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. And it was a blessing in disguise. It was a blessing, because I couldn't stop. I could not stop for a minute. I couldn't sleep unless I had that drug in a drawer next to me. Then I could sleep fine.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have it, I was finding it before I bedded down for the night.
So how long were you dealing it?
I was loosely a dealer. I moved enough to keep myself high. I wasn't the money man with the drugs. I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
I had a circle of friends that got high the way I got high,
Yeah.
and I would take care of them. And I'd end up getting high for nothing. But
Yeah.
was it for free? I think not.
No. And then the big hammer came down,
Yeah.
and away you went. And you did it, I think it's known as stand-up, because I know for a fact that they wanted you to rat on somebody and it would have been less, and you didn't do it. And
I did
I'm
my
sure that you're glad now and glad then.
I took responsibility for what I did. I
Yeah.
left everybody else out of it. I'm the only one that went away.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the point that changed me. When I took responsibility for my actions and my actions alone, was the beginning of the change.
How, let's see, when you went into prison, ooh, hope I didn't screw that up, the microphone. I just did something Kyle told me not to. It must have been rough going in for a lot of reasons, but there was no cocaine, or there could have been, I don't know.
No, there was none that was available to me, and I wasn't looking for any. From the point that they put those cuffs on me, I was like, this is over. But now what? You know, look at what I've done to myself now. Nobody did this to me. I did this to me. I made the poor choices. Nobody else made those choices for me. I'm the one who couldn't take responsibility for his disease of addiction and let it run rampant, let it run my life, be a slave to a drug. It doesn't matter what the drug was, okay? And alcohol is a drug as well. It doesn't matter which one it is, I was a slave to it. My choice happened to be cocaine. And as a result of that, I had to find now what do I do? Look at where I'm at. You know? Walking into Walpole State Prison on my first offense
At what age?
at 48 years old, never being in the court system, okay? Hey, when they said indictment, I didn't know what that meant. When they told me I was going to Superior Court, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had never been in the system to know.
Right.
And I knew I never wanted to be back in it either.
Yes.
It wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. Obviously, there was a reason why I needed that experience. As I learned that we're all spiritual beings in some fashion, form, or another. And this is how we grow. It's all part of our journey. And I don't try to understand it. I just accept it.
Yeah.
But in that prison cell, there was no one but me. And there was no one to call. Because they wouldn't take them. For 2 years. My mother would not take
your mother.
my call. My mother's always had my back. I mean, a mother's love is a mother's love. Today she says, do you think that was easy for me?
Yeah.
I say, yeah, you were upset. Of course it was easy for
Yeah.
you. So she calls me by my nickname. You little shit.
Yeah.
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 And lets me know that I needed to be taught a lesson. And let me tell you what, it was a lesson well learned. I got to see the pain. For once, my eyes were opened and I could see the pain my choices and my disease of addiction was causing my family. And how would I react if they were doing that to me? Probably the same way.
Yeah.
Probably the same way. So it's going to take time for healing to happen. I can accept that today.
Yeah.
There is no instant gratification that it's all forgiven. You're clean now, so everything's forgiven. No. I was a tornado in their lives.
Let's see. It was about the. You were in there for nonviolent crime.
Nonviolent drug offender
Right.
is my classification.
Do you think that you should have been there?
You know what? It got me clean, so yeah, absolutely.
So those 4 years, it was worth it for you. It stopped your life completely.
Stopped my life
It shattered
completely.
your life.
Yep. Yep. You want to talk about hitting rock bottom? That's rock bottom for this addict.
Right.
And what I found out through this 12-step program that deals with addiction I belong to is that I'm not exempt from the basement to my rock bottom if I'm not careful. And I was like, there's a basement? That was like a whole new thing to me when that was mentioned. And that was like a wow, boy, I better pay attention.
Explain that.
I've been blessed with desperation.
Yeah.
What, the bottom, the basement to rock bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a cocaine addict. I've never used a needle.
Right.
All right? Predominantly sniffed it, smoked it. Okay? The basement to my rock bottom would be progressing to heroin, becoming an
think so,
HIV drug user. Absolutely. I'm not exempt. And my life would get worse.
You never
prison
shot
times-
cocaine?
No. I hate needles. I don't like a flu shot.
Yeah.
All right? I'll tell you, I don't. That would be, for me, that would be the basement. You know, back to prison for a longer term. Because different things would happen with the obsession that comes with that drug. You know, I'm not exempt. I'm not exempt. And I my heart goes out to the ones that truly suffer with that, because that physical addiction they have to it is just, I just have empathy for them. It just has to be horrible. I've never had it. I've gone far enough. I don't want to experience it, and I don't have to. That's the good news. I don't have to. As long as I do today what I did yesterday, I'll have another day clean. I work part-time for a man with 11 years under his belt. All right? He's a great guy. But, you know, sometimes our disease manifests in other ways. He has 7 children now. So, yeah. But he says, Ed, all you got to do is get through the day. Nothing else matters. Just get through the day. I was working with him. The job came out horrible. And he says, but Ed, did we smoke crack today? I said, no. He says, you got paid. I lost money. Who cares? Let's go have dinner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you see, you got to have, he's showing me how to have the priorities in the right order. That no matter what, as long as we don't pick up, it's okay. It'll turn out okay.
Yeah. Does he follow a 12-step
He
program?
did. He did. Now he's got his wife works and he works, and if she's at work, he's putting the kids to bed, you know. But he
7
knows
kids.
where to go if he needs to.
Yeah, yeah. I know for me, and I know for you, for me, going to the morning meeting over at the church, it's a reminder every morning. We have one upstairs group. There's a small amount from 6 to 15, and I get to see it in every day, and I remember that. I have found, I'm not talking about the guy you work for, but 99% of the time, somebody in recovery, or that, okay, 99% of the time that people pick back up after however many years, 10, 5, 20, 25, and it goes up. They didn't go to meetings. Is that what do you agree with that?
You know what? I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen. That's the cunning and baffling part of our disease. Some people, though, their progression hasn't gotten to that level.
Yeah.
They can stop, go to some meetings, get some life skills that they teach us in those meetings, and move on with their lives. Their progression hasn't taken them that far. Then there are others of us who have been blessed with that deep-seated desperation that I would like to consider that I have, that I just never want to hurt like that again. And that I don't ever want to hurt any of my family or any of my loved ones like that again. And the best way not to hurt them is to continue to heal, to continue down the path,
Yeah.
and help others, you know, to the best of my ability. That doesn't mean I do it for them. Nothing could be further from the truth. They get a meeting list and I open the door for them.
Right.
And off they go.
Yeah. We talked a little about, and I ask everybody sitting in there and others, why do you think it's working for you? What these people are staying clean and sober, and especially for an addict, of what I have observed, there's no, I'm sure there's some, and I know of one guy, and if you agree, maybe, but there isn't too much long-time sobriety in NA.
Not what you don't have the numbers there that you have in the other fellowship as well. You don't have the population. What's the ratio? I don't know. But are there people there with long-term recovery? Absolutely. With 30 years? Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. I can name a couple.
Good.
Okay? Unfortunately, the sad truth is most addicts die before they get the chance to recover.
And that's what's happening.
That's the sad truth.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know in talking before we came in, one thing that's working, and it worked for me because I ran the house up in Gardner at first 16 vets in recovery. They were going to AA. They do their chore, stay in line, of course, but 5 meetings a week. And it was like a wrestling match some days. But they had to go, they had to sign where they were going, and I checked it. Other than that, I left them alone. The way it worked for me is I didn't want to have them work for a year, all right? We'd get them on whatever, and just concentrate on their sobriety. Anyway, that's what worked for me. And I know you had said that they have to do 3 a week.
Yeah.
House meeting?
Yeah, there's a house meeting. And yeah, 3 meetings. A lot of them go to more than 3 a week. And then there's some that it's a struggle to get them there. You know, they get out of it what they put into it.
So,
I get out of it what I put into it.
okay, so if they don't go to 3,
Well, then you start clamping down on them a little.
yeah, and watch them.
You just got to try and move them in that direction. I mean, I got one man, he's 29 years old. His mother brought him, and then he was there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, and his mother was with him. She come home, pick him up, and she says to me, "Are there meetings that he's supposed to be going to?" I said, "Yes, and the lists are right next to the computer." So that evening, I come down the stairs. I'm heading out to one myself, and he's sitting there looking at a meeting list. I said, "Why don't you put the meeting list down and come with me?"
Right.
And he started to give me some lip. I said, "Listen, I'm not really asking right now." So he gets in the car. We go to the meeting, and it's at the break, and he's outside, and I see he's on his phone. He gets off his phone. He says, "I had to call my mother and tell her that you took me to a meeting," and I went kicking but almost screaming.
Yeah,
He says, "Well, whatever it takes, whatever it takes."
yeah, yeah.
You know.
I guess we'll wrap it up. But as I said in the beginning, in my humble opinion, this system is broke, where just for the economic part, we're throwing this money away. One man who I really respect and ran a big program, and I asked him, "What's the percentage?" And I think we said 6 months. He said 15, 20. I think it's 15 or lower. It's not working. It's not working. We have to take some of that money and try some new things. I know there's a lot of people out there working on this thing, and I appreciate that. But the reason I began this show, I believe that it's addict helping addict. It's an inside job. It's an inside job up here, in here, but it's also, we know what we're going through. I would have never went to, I'm not going to go out there. I just know, you know, just the amount of people in prison, non-violent, and I have heard 80% to 90% go back. You know, what's that costing us? So that's it, I guess, Eddie.
Okay.
I want to thank you for coming in. You are a power of example, and I've watched you. I've watched you since you got out, and it's been a pleasure to know you.
Thank you.
So that's it. That's a wrap, and we'll be doing more and more. So that's it. Thank you.